Hi, I'm Sarah Ashley. Welcome to Problematic, the podcast where we talk about problematic topics that are off the mainstream beaten path, and we have off the mainstream beaten path guests that are here to inform and enlighten the collective. My first guest is Cynthia. Cynthia is a healer. She is popular on TikTok and Instagram. She has healed herself from a journey of toxic relationships to complete health freedom. So I want to talk to Cynthia today on and have her help you heal and live your best life. So hi, Cynthia. Thanks for coming on my podcast today. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so honored to have you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I love your work and I'm honored to be here. And I apologize if my dog barks in the background.
It's okay. Our dogs are our babies and they're part of our healing journey, aren't they?
They are. They really are. They really are.
Yes. So just introduce yourself for those of, those in the audience who don't really know you well yet, who haven't seen your work. Just give us a little tidbit about what you do and how you help other people.
No, okay. Thank you. Well, my name is Cynthia. I also, my handle on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is Soul Whispering Healer. And it's interesting because I did like a poll. I was meditating coach, and I did like a poll, and someone who's worked with me before gave me the name. So it stuck with me, and I love it. I help people find their highest self. I help people rid themselves of subconscious patterns and pain, and help awaken the inner child in them so that they can go through the process of healing their teenage self and also going into their adult self. So yeah, that I also specialize. I am a Reiki practitioner. I'm a psychic medium. I've had this gift since I was 3 years old. I remember seeing things. So yeah, I love what I do, and I help people unpack trauma.
I love that because there's so many people who need that right now in the collective. So many of us who have gone through generational trauma, and now at 25, 35, 45, and even older, I have some customers or clients, whatever you want to call them. Everybody has a different way of talking about the people they work.
Yeah.
Different term: customers, clients, energy exchange, healers, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that are even like older than my mom, who are finally figuring out, I need to unpack, like you said, unpack this generational trauma that I need to heal from, like yesterday. A lot of us have,
which is so amazing that even people that are older as well, right? I'm 45, and I feel so grateful. And that's another thing, that healing literally rewires your whole system. So you
yes,
become more youthful. Everything shifts within your body, spirit, your skin, everything shifts. So it's so,
yes.
I feel so grateful when I listen to people who are also younger as well and older as well, like just saying like, this isn't right and I need something better. It's amazing.
Yeah, you glow differently when you finally heal that trauma, because it makes us so much stronger. It makes us feel resilient. Like, wow, I went through that and now I have moved on from that. And we just feel so much lighter. So that's why we look brighter once we're lighter.
Yeah, we do. We really do. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. It
Yeah.
really is. It really is.
So Cynthia, tell us about how you started this journey. I know you said, you've been a psychic medium since you were 3. A lot of us that are listening in the audience have experienced that. We have these beautiful talents, these intuitive talents that maybe family members might have said, hey, don't do that. Try to gaslight us out of those gifts that we have. But when did you start realizing that you needed to heal yourself? What was the inciting incident, so to speak?
Um, Definitely my divorce.
Mm.
I was married. I was with him for 18 years.
Wow.
We had 2 children together. And when we went through the divorce, it was so brutal and
Yeah.
ruthless. Um, He wouldn't help me anymore. He wouldn't help the children anymore, cut off health insurance. Even,
Oh,
our daughter was having seizures.
damn.
Uh, he was ruthless, and he made
Mm.
sure that we suffered, cut off bank accounts, everything. So I fought in court for a while. I fought in court with him for about 6 years. He tried to take custody of my children. He said I was an alcoholic.
Oh,
He did. He made claims against our oldest child. Like, he was ruthless. He was ruthless. And even when I would go to court, Sarah, like, and I was alone with most of this. I didn't have a big support system, and I had to, and in reality, I had to face a lot alone. Like,
right,
when we're going through a healing situation,
right,
although support in other areas would have been great, it was really me who I had to face.
right.
So that, so the divorce, and seeing, like, I was alone, and the people that I even thought may have helped me didn't,
Right.
so it was really difficult. And that's when I began awakening. That's when I began really, like, I was in the dark night of the soul. I've gone through two of those, and really intense, and it was bad. I would wake up and roll off of my bed
Mhm.
and literally land on my knees to face my daughters, um, just to, like, keep them going so that
Yeah,
they had some form of hope.
right.
So that's what sparked my awakening.
Yeah,
And I began to reflect on everything. Why did I choose him?
right,
Who was he like?
right,
What was in me? Also, like, I think one of the deepest parts, because I could villainize him because he made it very easy,
right.
and he's a villain in his own story.
Sure, of
But in
course.
reality, I also was subconsciously a villain to myself
Ooh,
because
deep,
I wasn't aware.
deep. Mm. That's deep.
Yeah.
So
So
go ahead. So would you think that because he sounds like an incredibly toxic individual, that
he
something
is,
from your childhood attracted you to people with those toxic patterns?
yes, a narcissistic parent.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. So that was very difficult. I didn't realize how similar they were until like deep into my awakening, because
Mm,
it was such a difficult. There were many difficulties that I had growing up, and people do the best they can with what they
yes.
know, right?
Right,
It takes a while to get to that place, but and I forgive them for me. I forgive everyone for me,
right. It's
and
the
because
best way.
it's pointless,
Right. Because they keep
right?
hang on to it, it gets worse.
And it's poison. It's
Yeah.
pointless
Yes.
poison.
Yeah. I love that.
So yeah, so yeah, it was realizing that, and then realizing how also I decided to leave, where a lot of the generational stuff, the women dealt with a lot,
Yeah. They never
stayed
leave.
through
They
every,
stay through everything.
no,
That's what you're supposed to do. Then they give them excuses to that's just what men do. Just give him his space. Don't trigger dad. Give dad his, well, that's because dad was tired and you bothered him, or dad worked so hard, or my husband worked so hard. He just needed time off, or whatever it is. There's so many countless excuses. And then I feel like
it is.
us, the generation we're in, because I'm around the same age as you. We're like, younger Gen Xers, if you will, right?
Yes,
And we feel like when we started getting relationships when we were younger, we started repeating those patterns. Like, okay, he's working, even if we're working too, right? We don't cut ourselves the same slack as the guys. Like, he's working, or he's
nope,
tired, or this is just what men do.
yes. and exactly, and there was no slack on myself.
Mhm.
There was no grace for myself. And even
No.
so, it was even hard for me to get an order of protection on him at one point because I honestly was afraid. That's how bad it was. I was so afraid of what he was going to do next when in reality like he was never going to get better, and he
No,
still isn't. He's a terrible person.
no,
He's chosen that, and that's his path, and that's his
right,
walk and what he has to answer to.
right.
But so having to face those things and having to fight for me, he was in reality my greatest teacher of a course I never have to take again.
Right, exactly. You master that course, you graduated, you got your degree and everything else, girlfriend. And now you're free. Now you're free. You live to tell the tale and you're here to help other women walk out
Yes.
of those situations. I so resonate with that. And I just want to touch on something that you said before we talk about healing from illness that was caused by these toxic people. Okay. Staying in these relationships with these toxic people way too long. So when you said not giving yourself enough grace and not giving yourself enough slack, I started to think about like my experiences too, growing up and seeing that the women were responsible for so much more, especially emotionally, than the men. It's like you're supposed to make everything perfect for them, or else, oh no, maybe they'll combust. It's like TNT if you don't do everything perfectly. If you don't look perfect, if you don't have the house perfectly clean, God forbid you put a meal on the table that's not to their liking or preferences. It's like everything can just go. And
Yes.
that's what I grew up with. And I'm feeling that's what you grew up with too.
Yeah, exactly. It was compromise, compromise, sacrifice,
Yeah.
sacrifice,
Yeah.
and adjust, like adjust to what's going on with the man.
Right.
And and I do feel that there was a period like where it even made me dehumanize men
Yeah.
because I was sexually abused as a child.
Sorry.
I dealt with a lot of thank you, and I dealt with a lot of disappointment from men. So I dehumanized them. They didn't have feelings; they were monsters to me, and I really had to reflect on that and acknowledge how unreasonable I was being. Because in reality, as a healer, we all need healing, and even like
Yes.
they're a lot of them are just as hurt as well
Yes.
and have had terrible
Right.
mothers and have been hurt by women.
Right.
So dehumanizing them doesn't help the collective consciousness. It
Exactly.
doesn't help healing.
I 100% agree with you, because for them to harm a child like that, imagine what they must have gone through as a child to warp their mind to the point where they're harming children sexually. That's just awful. So yes,
Yeah.
we have to realize that these are people who also need help, who also need healing. And do we have to necessarily feel really bad for them and focus on feeling bad for
No,
them? No, but we do have to realize that monsters aren't just born, they are created.
they are. And we also have to, as women, be selective with our empathy. Not
Yes,
and not claim, oh, utilizing the word I'm an empath, so you allow certain things is bullshit. In reality, you here are here to protect your heart. Like, so
exactly.
you being an empath, I feel everything. I feel people's organs when I work with them. I feel so much. So that's an excuse, and in reality I have to protect me. So I don't have any empathy for abusers. I have none.
No, no,
But I do acknowledge that that they were created.
exactly. It's just all about being discerning and having awareness and some understanding, but yes, definitely not feeling into it. All right, so I'm going to steer the conversation a little bit. So I know we were talking about your divorce and how toxic your ex was and how grueling this divorce was because he wouldn't just let it go, which is something I've noticed that narcissistic type people, like, they have a very difficult time of walking away. Whereas us healed folk will just, like, once it's not working for us, we're out of there. Like, we might not even give notification. We might just be like, bye. Like, this is not
Correct.
working.
Yeah.
Bye. And we never look back. We're like, bye. So when you were going through all of this, you became ill. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. So I had health issues since I was about 14.
Jeez.
I was in an accident, and
Okay.
then I had so many issues after that. But then um, I had another accident when I was older, but it was really the I'm dealing with all this stuff now, and I'm on none of those medications. I do
Fantastic.
herbs and smoothies and all of that now.
Fantastic.
Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah, so everything is in a totally different way. So it's dealing with the same stuff. On top of it, cancer. I even had cancer in 2021,
Wow.
and this was the fibromyalgia was definitely created from the toxic environment.
Yes.
The pain, the physical agony and pain, the unwillingness to even I was in a complete fog for many years, which
Yes.
definitely also took a toll on my children as well.
Definitely, because you're shut down. I feel like the fibromyalgia, which has many different presentations, but it's all similar, and doctors they can never understand the underlying cause. And for those of you who don't know what fibromyalgia is, it's just a general achiness and exhaustion. And some doctors think it comes from chronic fatigue, or maybe they're related, but they can never really pinpoint what it is, like as a germ or as a virus or anything of that nature. But what I believe, because I've experienced this too, Cynthia, because your experience is very similar to mine. When you're in that toxic environment, you're kind of you shut down, you get in freeze mode. You don't leave, you don't, flee, and you're not fighting them because you're not allowed, because you're not in the position of authority, right? You learn very quickly you cannot
Because they have your
fight.
mind as
Right.
well. They have
Exactly.
your mind. You're the marionette.
Exactly. So you have to, like you said, pivot to whatever they want. You have to be on high alert at all times. Like, okay, is this going to make them angry today? If I move this way, if I wake up and go to the bathroom, are they going to get angry? Like anything that's going to set them off, you're on high alert. Your body's on high alert at all times. And like you said, it drains you, so you can't be fully present for your children, and you're in constant anxiety, fear mode. So I feel like that constant freeze mode um, is really causing the fibromyalgia. It's the autoimmune, so that your body starts fighting itself and exhausting itself, and like almost putting you out, so that other people need to take care of you, but you're not around safe people. So it's kind of like a weird contradiction, because you're put in a position where other people have to take care of you, but you're not around safe people. So it's almost the body's way of saying, please find safe people to go take care of you and rehabilitate you back to yourself. And that was
Correct.
my experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And I'm
after
sorry
the
that you went through that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we talked about it before we started recording. When I was younger, and I grew up in a toxic environment, and I know my parents are going to watch this. So, this is why I call the show problematic, because we're saying problematic stuff that's probably going to piss some people off. But, my parents did the
And
best
that's
they could
okay.
too. But my dad was highly stressed. He had a lot of issues, and we were always on high alert. And I took the brunt of his anger, and I had toxic symptoms. They couldn't diagnose me. They couldn't figure out what it was. I went to a rheumatologist. And finally, when I left the house at 18, I never had any symptoms again, knock on. So that's it. And I know you had to deal with that with your toxic childhood and then your toxic marriage.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like
Absolutely.
once the divorce was final, then did the symptoms go away, or how did the symptoms go away for you? How did you heal yourself?
So I've also had 3 spinal surgeries,
Jeez.
and I have hardware in my body, and I had cancer in 2021, and I had a full hysterectomy, and the cancer itself as well. And I don't talk about this much, but I'll talk about it here. I was suicidal
Mm,
for a good 2 months. Every day after the cancer, I thought about ending my life. I
mm.
couldn't stand, um, and I was alone. So it was very dark. A lot of times, um, a lot of darkness in my life I was very alone for.
Mhm.
And so that really took a toll on me.
Yeah.
And what really started healing me was, and even the cancer I know was generational, it was in my womb. It was
Oh, wow.
ovarian.
You're
It
safe,
was a 10-pound cancer. So the abuse, I look pregnant. I'll send you
Yeah.
pictures. I look pregnant. The abuse, the things that the women in my lineage went through, we carry all of it.
Yes,
So it
ancestral
was so
trauma.
much. It absolutely.
Mhm.
And I am the chain breaker, and I had to acknowledge that,
Yes.
and when you run from it is when you make your life harder.
Oh, yeah.
When you accept it, it's different. So really, like, how I started feeling better was, I stopped dealing with almost anyone that I was connected to,
Wow.
anyone that watched me suffer and didn't help me,
Mhm.
anyone affiliated with him, anyone who played both sides, any of it. I cut out. I had no, and it looked brutal for a lot of people, and that's not my business. That's theirs.
Right.
But I cut out so many people, and it was one of
Yeah.
the best things I could have done. I stopped going to certain functions, stopped interacting, I stopped a lot of stuff. And I started researching different herbs, different things that help certain elements that I was having. I started getting in the pool, getting in the water. This was previous to COVID as well. I'm in it as well now. I would get in water therapy, water aerobics. I started reflecting because it was so easy to villainize everyone
Yeah.
and victimize myself, but I couldn't step into my victory in victim
Right.
mode.
Yeah. Amen.
So
Hmm.
so I had to look at my patterns and how I was and what was calling that in, and what wasn't allowing myself to grow, and rewiring my brain and starting to stretch. And when I would stretch, starting to talk to my body. I love you. It's okay to let go, like different things, tapping. So there were so many different things that I started doing, and for me to be 45 and have gone through what I've gone through physically and be in the state that I'm in is a pure miracle, but
It
it's a
is.
miracle that lives within all of us. It really is. It's a
It is.
miracle that lives within all of us because it is here, and it is here. And the
Yes.
will and the want to fight for you.
Hmm.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Everyone's journey to navigate through letting go of the pain and the suffering is different, but it is really a miracle that resides in every single one of us.
It's
And
so
when you choose
beautiful.
to heal, yeah, when you choose to heal, you're winning the lotto. You're winning the lottery.
Yes,
You're
because you,
making things way better.
yeah, because you could reclaim your power, reclaim the life you're supposed to live because you're fully present in the love of who you truly are, your authentic self, not the person you were trying to be for these other people. You're no longer in people pleasing in defense, and you're just fully in flow. And that's where the healing really takes place, when you're fully in flow. And when it's hard, when it's just feels so hard with the situation, you could just say, okay, I'm walking out of this. If you have the choice just to exit that situation, it is so, so important. It's the mental health, it is so connected to our physical health. It is
It
100%
is.
connected to our physical health.
It is. It is. And I was, I remember being called worthless and stupid a lot. And I learned very different.
Yeah.
Uh, and I I'm one of the most brilliant, amazing people I know.
There you go.
I'm so lovable. I'm
You
so
are.
smart. How I learn is different, but it's unique and powerful. And all the things that were made to make me feel bad, I alchemized it. I literally made sangria out of the lemonade, out of the lemons,
I love
instead of
that.
lemonade.
I love that. You made sangria. It's my favorite drink. I love that. I love that so much. So I gotta ask you, because you were talking about, the water aerobics and being in water. Are you a water sign? Are you Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces?
I am not, but I am a 12th house, person. I have a few 12th house placements.
There you go.
And the only Cancer, well, my moon also is in all right, so I'm a Taurus sun, Sag moon, but it's in the Cancer house. And I am a Leo rising. I'm a Leo stellium actually.
Okay.
So I have a lot of fire, a lot of
Yeah,
fire.
I can
Not
see it.
not much water.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the Sag moon too. It makes sense of the Sag moon in the fourth house. You were, like you said, that's what Sag moon is. It always takes lemons and makes them into, like you said, sangria. And with that fourth house placement, it is taking all the shit from your mother's ancestral line and taking it and alchemizing it, transmuting to something really positive.
And I think it's conjunct the galactic center as well.
Oh wow. Okay. So
My moon, yeah.
your moon is conjunct my Neptune and conjunct my Jupiter. So I love that. Yeah, that means we have some psychic powers when we're together. We illuminate the collective. We help people get in touch with their feminine when we connect. So I love that so much.
I love that too.
Yeah. So I had to ask you about your astrology real quick as you were talking. You
No,
definitely.
I appreciate it. I know you're I know, and I love watching. I love your page. I love learning from you, and it's so interesting. Astrology is so interesting. I'm learning at my own pace, but yeah, it really is.
Awesome.
I get that a lot. A lot of people think, see fire, or they think Aquarius. I've got an Aquarius, but I'm Aquarius Juno. I am Aquarius Juno.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So you like a partner who's unique, free thinker, that kind of thing. I could see that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
so let's move on and talk more about you. I do appreciate that the love for my astrology page and everything, but I do want to talk more about the healing process. So once you started really loving yourself and releasing all these people, I'm sure they were shocked because it was, over 40 years of you living the same toxic cycle and over again. So people just expected you to show up as the same Cynthia. And you started doing some things that doctors might not all, like not all Western medicine doctors believe in, like, fruits and vegetables, herbs, all that kind of stuff. What led you to start healing other people? What made you feel rooted enough and secure enough to expose everything that you've been doing, reveal who you are, show the world the true you, and start helping people? How did that all begin for you?
Well, it's a funny story. A Gemini friend of mine, this is literally what really started it. A Gemini friend of mine had said, I had started doing this little psychic Sunday thing with a friend, Sagittarius. She's no longer online. And we would do like little free answers and, little question things. But a friend of mine had said to me, like, what are you doing? Like, you read, you can look at a picture, you can do this, you can do that. Like, what are you doing? And like you're choosing suffering. You're just suffering. Like some people I guess need to suffer. And it was so brutal, and I was so mad at her for saying it.
She called you out.
The truth.
She called you out.
She called me the fuck. She called me out.
Curse all you want. This is problematic.
Okay.
As many F-bombs you want, Cynthia.
She called me the fuck out. She called me the fuck out. So and I'm from the Bronx, New York, so it's very stereotypical how I can get. So she called me out, and she really told me, instead of having someone around me that was like, you're weird, or a lot of people acted like I was just a problem and a weirdo because of my gifts. And she pushed me and highlighted me. And I love her so much for it. And I'm so grateful for her. And then I just started realizing like what I was doing and what I could do. And I created, my account and switched it up, and Soul Whispering Healer, was created.
I love
It was
that.
always within me. It was always within me. And I was doing it. But because there has to be an energy exchange, even if you barter with someone, you cannot just keep allowing people to steal from you.
No,
and I was just Yes, and I was doing that,
Oh,
and
no.
I had no boundaries or anything, and now that's none of that's a problem for me because
No.
I've continuously dedicated to me and worked on me, you
I
know?
love that. I love that. Yeah.
Thank
It's,
you.
yes. I love that you had a cheerleader. We all need a cheerleader, someone who sees us as we truly see ourselves, as how we see our highest self. And then someone who sees it in us, especially another female, because you know that they don't have
Yes.
any other motivation except to just cheer us on in sisterhood and help us to
Yes.
be our true selves. So when we had that cheerleader, and I love this, she was a Sagittarius too, because Sagittarius are
No,
so
she's a
good at.
Gemini. She's
Oh,
a
she's
Gemini.
Gemini. Okay, okay. Gemini's also good at that. Yeah.
But Sag sister sign, you know, my
Yeah.
sister
Okay.
sign, my
The
moon. So
opposition.
it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then her moon is in Scorpio and I'm a Taurus. So it's like opposite. She's a Gemini sun, I'm a Sag moon. I'm a Taurus sun, she's a Scorpio moon. So
Nice.
it
Nice.
go it yeah.
It was very complimentary,
Yeah.
like vanilla and chocolate, right? That's all it was.
Oh
Yeah. So
yeah,
she saw
yes,
you. So
yes,
she
yes.
saw you. Anyways, so once she saw you and then you put up your boundaries, because I want to talk about that too, how boundaries are so important in healing work and what that means. Because, we have friends, family, people kind of like, I guess shoulder up to us online and they just want to, have us do readings for them and whatnot. So how did you manage that? Like, what was the first signal to you, if you could remember, like, gosh, maybe I should
Yeah, it was
website, just here, go to the link, or how did you manage that?
it was like I was tired of the patterns of people just trying to dump on me, emotionally dump, and most people weren't taught that emotional dumping is a thing, you know?
It
So
is.
and then I had a client who was very uh she was a taker. She was a taker
Mhm.
at the time and she kept trying to like manipulate me and saying different things or like, well, can I just give you this to do this or can I just or can't you just or you're so good to me like, you know, trying to utilize words, wordplay.
Yeah, kind of love
And
bomb you a
and it
little
did
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel safe at all. And I told her I wasn't going to work with her. She was very angry, but I also thanked her before I blocked her. I thanked her um, for teaching me the lesson of boundaries. She did. Once again, another great teacher I never have to learn from again. You
Exactly,
know, like
exactly. Yes, I love that. Yeah, it's just like people
yeah,
that are difficult, they are greatest teachers because they show what are the weaknesses within us that we need to work on, build up, and then they become these fortresses where they're impenetrable and we're no longer going to do that again. So yeah, I feel you on that.
absolutely.
I feel you on that. And we always have to have professional discourse. I call it my clients. I always tell people like, this is like a therapy session. I use the same ethics as a therapist. We're not going to talk about it with anybody else. You pay me and then we'll talk about it and then it's over and I'll see you next session.
Yeah, that's it. And that's literally how it goes, you know, and even in the coaching work I do,
Mhm.
you know, so I coach people. There's some people that come to me through their healing because, you know, the healing journey is difficult. And
Mhm.
I'm a certified life coach, but it's soul coaching, really.
Yeah,
So
right. I
it's
feel,
spiritual homework and, you know, stuff like that to kind of help walk them through the subconscious patterns they're not seeing. You know, being a 12th house stellium, I see uh,
yes,
through a lot of stuff. You know,
yes.
I've had to
See through the
see,
bullshit. We see through the
yes.
bullshit. I have a 12th house skeleton too, so I got you. Yeah.
So exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that and I have to tell you, most people don't test me no more.
Mm-mm.
I don't get tested like that anymore. I don't.
Mm-mm. No, because what it is, people see our page and they're like, oh, I guess I shouldn't play with that one. Mm-mm.
Yeah, which I'm very grateful for. Good. I'm glad you know not to play with me.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, this is not a playground. You can move on, go somewhere else if that's what you're looking for. All right. So
Absolutely.
I know that both you and I are very busy ladies. So before we close out, I just want to ask you if there's a couple things, I would say the top three things you could recommend, especially to women to really heal themselves from toxic cycles. What would those top three things be?
the top three things that you can do for yourself to heal as a woman from a toxic cycle is number one, ask someone that you love and trust for help. Someone that sees the situation, that doesn't look at you as a burden, who needs to stay there because they don't want to deal with it. Also, moving away. I know it sounds dramatic and not everyone can do it, but I guess it's a Sag moon thing. I've moved states several times and I want to move out of the country, you know? Moving away, if you can get away and you can move away, I would say that. And
Yeah.
really self-reflection. Self-reflection is very, very important, because then you can be honest with yourself. Like, why do I continue to allow him to do this? Journaling about it. Google prompts, some journal prompts. You know, there's so much free information out there to help you. And then start looking at yourself in the mirror, in your eyes. And it's hard at first. And you'll cry for a while. But you start saying, I love you, I'm here. I love you, I'm here. Start reconnecting. And those things, although healing is not, there's no Amazon Prime in healing, there are cheat codes. And self-reflection is one of the biggest cheat codes, because you'll never heal if you don't reflect on you and why you're in this. Not that you're to blame, because there is no blame. Blame is the ego's way of avoiding reflection. Earth is a school, and when you reflect, then you can pass and go on to the next class.
Exactly. You can go to the next level. And self-reflection is not self-criticism. It's just simply reflecting. How did I get into this situation? Why did I want to get into this situation? What made me feel like this situation was going to fill that hole in my cup? That actually, why do I have that hole in my cup? Who originally put it there? What is the pattern that got me there in the first place? So very, very, very important information. And I really feel like so many people would benefit from working with you, because you're straight no chaser. You have the experience, which I feel like a lot of people, they're here to help people, but maybe they don't have the life experience. And you've got it, girlfriend. You have the experience, which is so important, because like you said, life is our greatest teacher, and that's what makes us wise. You have to go through it to be wise. So for those of you who are out there who are going through it, you're going to be wiser, you're going to be stronger, and you're going to be better for it. And you're going to be quicker for it too. You're going to be way quicker next time around. So Cynthia, tell people how they could book a session with you and find you.
Well, I want to thank you again. Thank you again so much.
I appreciate you so much. And this conversation was so important.
I feel the same. And you can reach me on my website at www.soulwhisperinghealer.net, or Instagram, soul_whispering_healer. Same for Twitter and TikTok.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Cynthia. I appreciate you so much. This was so informative. You're my first guest. So like, this is great. Two amazing women. I'm going to have men on here too, but I love that such a strong, empowered female was on here for my first guest. It just makes it all that much better. Yes. I love that.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. And of course, follow Cynthia on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and get your soul coaching session with her if you're in a tough spot right now, or recommend her to somebody else who you know who needs some assistance. All right, take care, everyone. See you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so